it's your girl, the Nerd Z, and welcome to the Vet Podcast. New host today. Where's? Oh. Okay, no, I'm joking, guys.
Okay.
I'm joking. Bad jokes.
Okay. All right. Well, in a world where women are running the show, this is the Vent. I'm the host, Jay Hunterville. Where am I? I am somewhere in the sky. Just holding it down as the moderator of this lovely night, at this lovely session.
Beautiful
yes.
words.
Yes.
Called Queens at the Table.
Yes.
Queens at the Table.
Yes.
Vol.1.
Volume.
Oh. I feel this.
No.
Good energy.
As you could tell, we have these two beautiful ladies here, which is Elena, from Melanin Queen, CEO. And we have Nerd Z, CEO of the Nerd Studio. So let's do a little intro about yourself, you guys.
Intro. Would you like to go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah. I think the people already know me. They see me often, so.
All right. What's up, everyone? I am Elena Christine, CEO and founder of Melanin Queens Organics and host and executive producer for the Queen Series podcast. I want to first say thank you so much for the Vent Pod for having me on. I think this is a really important conversation, and I can't wait to delve into some of the ideas and some of the thoughts and some of the current events that are happening as it pertains to women of color. And it's a really great way to wrap up International Women's Month. So I really look forward to our conversation.
Yay! I don't know if I could top that or get close to it. Okay. Everyone knows me for many things. So my name is Zakia Hutchinson. I am the personality behind the Nerds Z, and I am the CEO of the Nerd Studio. I also do a lot of things. And don't limit myself to that, but also do art directing, producing as well, modeling, and whatever I fancy, I do.
There you go.
Okay. I'm just gonna take you guys back, way back into time.
Yes.
The first question I'll give is, what was your childhood like?
Oh, we're just gonna throw myself back into
Throw
myself into it. Okay.
Before they know your future, they gotta know a little bit about your past. At least, you know.
A little bit about me.
Yeah.
You'd like to go first?
Oh my gosh, this is first all night. I grew up in South Florida in marginalized community, single parent household. I have 3 siblings. And I would say my childhood was full of challenges, of course, being a woman of color in a community where, predominantly it was lower middle class, I would say. So, my upbringing was full of challenges. And of course, with a lot of women of color, we have to face the societal pressures that we're placed under. And I guess that's focusing on the challenging aspect of it, but it was all right. I was really tight-knit with my neighbors, and I had a lot of really strong female influences, so
nice.
Yeah, it was an all right childhood.
Okay, so I was born in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, raised in Toronto, Canada. I have 2 siblings, 2 younger siblings, then 5 older siblings. Education-wise? Let's see. Went to school. My upbringing. I had a pretty good childhood. I would say that neighborhood-wise, working class.
Yeah.
Multicultural. And that would be the basis of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I might do a little comedic thing here. What was your favorite childhood snack?
Childhood snack. Yo, fruit roll-ups.
Fruit roll-ups is nice.
Okay.
Fruit roll-ups.
When I could trade fruit roll-ups, I'd trade at school. I won't lie. My mom's in the room, but go to school and sugar wasn't something that was in my house. So candy, sweets, not happening. And then of course being a child of a dietitian, so it's like,
oh, your mom's a dietitian? Oh my god,
loves healthy eating.
All
awesome.
that,
I
love that.
If you ever wanted any type of celery,
There you go.
Style you want?
There you go. Ants on a log. Have you ever had that? With the peanut butter and the raisins? Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
For
So-
the record, celery is just...
Celery's so good for you,
It's
though.
so good. What do you
It's
mean?
so good. It's so
It's
good.
refreshing.
Mm.
What?
Refreshing?
It is.
Have a beer and then have some celery? Trust me.
How about the beer only?
Just the beer. Fruit roll-ups are good, though. I like fruit roll-ups.
Yeah.
She traded for fruit roll-ups.
I would trade at school and be like, I would have some like carrots in the bag, cause you know
That's pretty
some
good.
some parents would just give their kids sweets, right? So
Yeah.
their child would then want the veggies, and then they'd be like, "Yo, give me some of your carrots, man. Like I'll trade you.
What up?
Yo, we're good. Fruit roll-ups. You want carrots? Let's
Up,
go.
up, up. Yeah, perfect.
That would be it.
Yeah.
Fruit roll-ups all day.
Honestly, my favorite snack, I don't know, whatever we had in the house, but but for me, I used to have a hustle. Like I used to buy candy from like Costco and sell it. Like, yeah, so my mom supported that. I got in
Yes.
trouble a couple times,
Yeah.
but yeah, I used to sell candy out of my book bag for like $1.
That's what I'm
What those
saying.
nigga undercutting their candies with
Yeah,
their
like
son?
every time, yeah,
Like,
every
you
time,
cannot
like
sell candies in here, Lena.
yeah, I was like, it's a problem that I'm like an entrepreneur. Way
Yes.
back in the day, I'm selling
Yes.
candy out of my backpack,
Yes.
but
I used to
that's
do
what I
the same.
did. Yeah.
I used to, and then I would accompany it with art.
Oh, really?
I'd sketch, and then
Oh,
I'd
I
be
like
like, "You get
that.
candy? Here's a piece of my work."
okay.
It's just so.
Okay. Is there any character traits that you have as a child that you still have now?
Curiosity.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that keeps things like
Mm-hmm.
you got to stay curious about life. I think that's an
Mhm.
important one. For me, it's I don't know. I was always like a leader. I had leader energy ever since I was little. So I always had like people tying my shoes for me at the playground, and even though I was very able, but I always had that like leader energy that I still
Yes.
carry with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And asking why
and oh yeah,
has not left me, and it gets me in trouble. But you know, you gotta ask, like, why do you do that?
right.
Like, why do you do this? Like that. It goes back to curiosity, but just asking why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think some people stop and grow out of it at the age of 2? I'm how old now?
You always
Still
ask.
here.
Yeah.
You know?
And would there be anything you would say to your younger self at your age now?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Oh my gosh, that's the whole podcast. Like that could be the last question. There's so much. Like I don't know. I would tell myself that everything that I've gone through is worth it, right? Like every challenge, every adversity, everything is worth it, and just no matter how hard things get, just to keep going, because it'll pay off. Like all of the thoughts, all of the uncertainties, all of the everything that I faced was just like, you know, I would just tell myself to not stop. Yeah. And I mean, I still have to, even when I'm like 50, I still have to look back into how old I am now and tell myself not to stop. Because the challenges don't stop. It's all about like your mindset and how you move forward from these things. So I would definitely tell myself. And I have told myself that. That's why I haven't stopped, right?
For me, what would I say? Don't ever stop playing the fool. That's that. Don't stop. Like,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes I get too serious, and that becomes my burnout, and I burn out quickly. And it's like, the idea when I was younger was that, you know, I would burn out. It's like, I can't do this. Why am I gonna be, or how am I gonna be successful if I keep burning out like this at this rate? And it's just like, I have to tell myself, for my younger self, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can play the fool.
Right.
Play around. Make a little mistake here and there. You don't have to be that serious. Like, relax.
But you know what it is? I think with that, it's like when we're younger, I feel like, and as Black women also, it's like we deal with some pressures that tell us that we have to be serious all the time. You know what I mean? So society gives us that, and it tells us, okay, we can't relax. Because like we always have to be 2 steps ahead.
Right.
So that's where it falls into too. So I can totally relate to that. Because it's like, whereas your friends or your peers have the flexibility to not be so serious, it's not like that for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of the at times, and like especially when we're young and we're trying to develop into something, we're told constantly that we have to be serious. We have to stay focused. There's no room for us to, you know, like fall or slip up, because there's always people and things that are looking forward to our downfall, right?
Yes.
So we always have to keep it up.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be tired, like, and then you can't even enjoy yourself. You're
Right.
like,
I know.
You're winning, but then you're hurt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no.
And the thing is that like sometimes we don't really necessarily have the support system to tell us. Like,
yes.
We can chill.
Yeah.
Or like people to tell us it's okay to take a break every now and then, right? So I think that's also like a really important aspect of just being a Black woman and also having like strong support systems is for people to say, listen, you can relax or else you're gonna burn out. And the burnout comes with consequences too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing that I would tell my younger self, your friends.
Uh-huh.
Pick your friends right. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
That's such a process.
You sure your mother never told you that too? Like, your company.
You know, exactly. Bad company, you know, brings, you know, exactly. Or they'll take you out, but they won't bring you back in. Like,
that's
that, like the tide, you know, as they say.
That's
so,
facts, yeah.
Tell my younger self, yeah, your friends. But to expand your circle of friends. Because for me, I was very limited in who I kept around me.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of taking the time to be social and, you know, get a little uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable with someone who has a little bit of difference to me. That I never had. And it's like, if I took that on, I think I would have been a little bit more ahead. If I had that, like, concept already instilled in me.
Right.
I've learned that in my adult years. But if I was younger, I would say, hey, I know so-and-so seems a little weird, but it's okay. It's okay. Just, you know, get to know them. They're okay. And then, you know, you realize, hey, you have stuff that I didn't, or you have things that I feel like, oh, man, I can learn from this and that. That's okay. Like,
yeah.
You know, doesn't have to come in what you're used to. Step a little outside. Like, that would be what I tell myself.
That's good. That's good advice for you. Yeah.
Now, starting high school, did you have a plan? And if you had a plan when you started high school, did you stick with it?
I think my plan was just to be successful. Like, my plan was just to achieve. Because, like, for education, you know, a lot of, like, Black families, it's like education is almost like the ticket to better life, right? So going into any school, even kindergarten, you have to be successful. You have to stay focused. But that could lead to burnout and things like that. So I always told myself when I was younger that I would be a lawyer and follow the very traditional path of law. And, you know, ironically, I got my master's in law, but right now, like, I'm more focused on my own business more so than ever before. So I feel like even if you do, I mean, it wasn't necessarily like a plan. But yeah, I mean, I just thought that I just had to like move forward and be successful, whatever that meant. Right now, I'm realizing that success is whatever I define it to be, and not necessarily I want to be a lawyer. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, in high school, did I have a plan? What kind of plan are we talking about?
Right.
Academic wise, it was, you know, do your best. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Make it. But I didn't hold myself to the highest in the grade area until my last 2 years of high school. Going into high school, it was more so like survival and change the way that I was perceived from my peers the years before. I didn't want to be known as the individual that I was, and that was the only plan that I had at that time, starting high school. So yeah, it was be more confident, because I was a very quiet kid. So be more confident, get to know more people, expand, etc., etc. That was really the plan at the time. Be more social.
More social. Now, did your high school self believe that you would be this person today? So many people will be like, they'll be in high school and they'll be like, what would I say to myself?
Right.
At the age I am now.
Right. Yeah. No. Like I wouldn't. I really wouldn't think that I would be in this, like, even sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't think that I would be where I am now a year ago, let alone in high school. I had no idea how, you know, developing myself would turn into whatever I'm doing right now. Like, I couldn't have guessed that. Yeah, nothing that I would imagine even, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, hell no. Hell no. No. Why? I don't know. I just feel like maybe. Yeah, no. I don't. Just me then to now, I would think I've calmed down a lot. That for sure. For sure.
I think the process was like growing into yourself was a pretty cool one, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, looking back into what I was in high school, even like the way that I dressed, my confidence level, things like that. All of these things have shifted so much. I wouldn't even fathom that I would be anything. But I mean, I think the beauty of high school is that you don't know, right? And you take that time to develop yourself, even after the fact. It's like you're going through like a developmental process. You have no idea what the outcome could be. And it doesn't matter, like, even if you didn't have the grades, even if I didn't have the grades, like, it doesn't determine, well, in some cases it does determine, but in other cases it doesn't determine the outcome,
right.
The potential of what your life could be.
Right. Yeah.
Now, for those that are, this is something like small, like, for those that are in school right now, what advice you would give them?
Who are in school right now? Yeah. What level?
High school.
We'll say high school, yeah.
High school? Pick 3 crafts.
That's good advice.
Not 1, 3.
3 crafts. Okay.
Reason why I say that is because the first thing that you usually go to school with, you may not actually do. That's 1. Then 2, you want to do something that you enjoy, for sure. Like, is a passion. And then the 3rd, not to say that you really should, but whatever makes your parents happy.
Oh, I think my advice is like totally the opposite. Like I've learned, like, I don't know, I have very controversial views when it comes to traditional education system that I've been a part of for my whole life. I think it's a scam.
Oh,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that.
I would love to hear this.
Yeah, yes. I think that, you know, what we're being taught is not necessarily what we need in life to be successful.
Okay.
And like we start to think that we have to perform a certain way to have any sort of quality of life, right? But the biggest CEOs and all of the people that are bosses right now are dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic, and I had to work through that. But they are failures. Like, they're on average C students, and they have like a room full of A students working for them, right? So I think in terms of like entrepreneurship and being a CEO, education is pointless.
Really?
It matters only when it comes to like things that you really need to know. But more so than education is your ability to develop your mind in a certain way that traditional education system can't teach you. So I think what happens is when we're pushed into the system, right? Like, you have to go to school early at 8 o'clock, you finish at 5, whatever. It's almost like conditioning to teach you how to be a good employee in life. Not necessarily how to be a boss, not necessarily how to do things your own way, but to conform to a system that tells you exactly what it is you need to do. Also, like the power structure, right? You have a professor that has a perceived amount of power that sits in the front of the room. You have to sit quiet and listen to this person that has authority in that structure. And that's what you're conditioned to accept. Even from like K through 12, we're taught this is the way that power structures and this is how it works. So then when you graduate, and then of course you might go into a higher education system, which is a corporation, then you're further taught and it's further established that these are kind of the norms and this is how you're supposed to be. When you get into the real world, you get into a system where you're working a 9 to 5. So it models almost, you have a boss that models like the professor in the sense that they have the authority and you just work in that way, right? And our parents, of course, tell us that we need to get the grades and we need to do things a certain way because they've also been conditioned to think that this is what life is about, right? And then we see that people that choose alternative paths, they're deviant or they're, you know, they're going against the grain, Yeah, it's because like me being a CEO and a boss is just like, you know, I'm not going to follow what society wants me to be. And because we all have the ability to do so, but not a lot of us choose that way, we're seen as like outliers or we're seen as different. But because the masses are conformed to this way of life, I personally choose not to do it that way.
true.
I think we're even moving into a space now where, like my kids, I'm gonna totally tell them like it's optional.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you consider what they call like homeschooling.
I mean, I think at that point, like even like computer, like homeschooling, but like digital learning is going to take precedent over even the public school systems. Yeah, it's completely.
Because what's starting to happen now,
like I totally think so. Because like look at even public school systems in Florida. Like my friends now that were my friends in high school are the teachers. $32,000 a year with like lackluster benefits, but the quality of the education is suffering. So you might even be better off teaching your kid on a computer, whereas the teacher is standing in front of the classroom in a traditional sense. It's not getting paid. They deal with their own amount of pressures, and the quality of education and the quality of education is whack. Like,
and this is coming from an American perspective, right?
Yeah, because that's the only perspective that I know. But I also see that it draws parallels in the Canadian school systems as well. I don't know how much teachers get paid here.
Oh, significantly more.
Significantly more.
Like 70.
Oh, so that's more of an incentive for them to actually teach quality education.
But even the style, like, so that's the reason why, like, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because I do understand, and that's why I said pick 3 crafts.
Mm-hmm.
Not the school,
exactly.
The crafts.
That's important.
And that's the reason why, like, I say that, because in high school, a lot of times I don't think you're not able to absorb everything. But if anything, when you leave, that's why I would advise that you at least pick up 3 things skill-wise when you leave. Because I understand what you're saying. Why leave the hands of somebody else to teach you how to live or how to be or how to aspire to be more or whatever, right? You can't leave that to somebody else. You have to do that on your own.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like underplayed the importance of actually picking those crafts too, because we focused on like the standardized education system where it's like reading and writing and standardized testing and things like that. But we underestimate the power of actually like building up and supporting the idea of these like crafts, trades or different skills that'll probably take you farther than the math and the reading. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So I get the education part. In the sense that don't limit yourself to just the system.
Yeah,
for sure.
Think beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the school system here, I've had the opportunity to like have different types of teaching styles. So I have teachers who've been at the front of the class and said, "You only listen to me," and I've had other teachers where, they've also exposed me and they were like, "You teach the class. What do you want to learn?" Cool. And then we're going to teach the rest of the class. And you're going to be teacher today. And you're going to instruct and do it the way that you want to stylistically do it. And you feel comfortable. So, yeah, just all that to even say, like, that's a different... We come from the same world.
That's right.
And have totally different perspectives. Yeah. And in high school, our, like, experiences were different. So, therefore, just looking at it, don't think you're alone.
Right, yeah.
In high school. There is more to the world. And there are more different styles and different ways of living. And even if it's weird to you there and then, at that very moment, wherever you are, it's topical.
Yeah.
You can go somewhere else and you'll probably find yourself somewhere else.
Yeah.
So.
And we have to support each other in all of these things too, right? Like, we have to be able to talk to each other and tell, like, we should talk to the youth, right? Like, anytime that we have the opportunity to tell them, listen, this is what you should be doing. Yeah. Like, I went through it too, and...
That was like the other day. We had one of my kids who came. And I was doing a photo shoot with her.
Yeah.
And she was like, we're like, "Oh, have you picked college yet?" And she's like, "No, I haven't." And it was just one thing after another.
That's amazing.
And we're just like, listen, college is okay. If you want to go to university, go to university.
Yeah.
Reach for the stars. Do what you can. Da-da-da-da. It's okay if you want to take a year off. Da-da-da.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "Are you sure?" It's okay. Don't worry. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, so important to encourage.
OSAP. If you want school,
OSAP.
Don't take the OSAP, girl. Like,
go
for your own money. Pay for your own thing. Don't put that yourself in debt. Like, we were going off. Like,
that's amazing.
Everything.
That's what we have to do.
Yes.
Girl, I could get into a whole thing about the higher education system.
Ooh, Jeff.
I can't. That's another rant. I don't want to...
Well, it's called the vet for a reason. Well, another question I had was, during high school, transfers to post-secondary university college.
Yes.
Is there any inequality between you and other students based off your race and gender? If you saw,
the gauntlet is off now.
Yeah, hey,
a lot.
This is what it is.
A lot. Ooh, I mean, the school does not exist anymore, so I can say all that I want. Go off. Yo, but yeah, for sure, definitely faced a lot of marginalized activity, for sure. Certain things would be only marketed to certain groups of kids of certain programs. Certain things were only accessible to certain kids because they were enrolled in certain programs. The way that people spoke to you and the expectation that they had was different based on which tier you were on. So many things. Like, there were many times where I had to question and be like, hey, how come I didn't get a trip to Hawaii? Why didn't anyone tell me about it? Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, it's open to everyone. But they got an invite. Like, an actual invite. Where my invite at? Like, right. So I do understand that and have had experiences with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, I went to the University of Miami, a private institution, one of the top schools in Florida. So, and just like a couple blocks down where the pork and bean projects where my father grew up, that, ultimately where his life ended, not in a way. So that school's tuition on a year basis is $60,000 US.
Repeat that again.
$60,000.
US, by the way.
US, not Canadian, guys.
Dollars, and a traditional bachelor's degree is 4 years, right? Yes. So you're paying
60 times 4.
Exactly. And
40 guys.
That speaks for itself. I mean, it's in Coral Gables, which is one of the senators lives just down the street. And so, of course, it was like an affluent kind of thing. And there were a lot of my peers who were rich, super rich people. And of course, I didn't come from that. So it's like, it's not necessarily a division, because the benefit for me was because all of these rich kids didn't qualify for financial aid. The financial aid office was empty. And this is a multi-million-dollar institution. So I got a lot of grants and scholarships because there were a lot of people that... I got a lot of grants and scholarships because there are a lot of people that didn't qualify.
Right.
Which is cool. But the inequalities that were there were just like night and day. I mean, there was a kid that just got arrested for paying off his tuition and stolen credit cards. I mean, it's real out here.
Because I was going to transition to like your question on what's happening with schools in the West Coast, but basically any big time university.
Where the rich kids are.
Aunt Becky is one of the people. A Full House character. They're paying
bribery.
This is Georgetown right now. The Georgetown scandal right now.
Well, I think we'll get to it later.
Well, we could get to it now. Might as well. Because right now, what's going on with the Georgetown scandal is there's parents, rich parents, paying for their kids to go to school. But
in the form of bribes, right?
In the form of bribes. Yeah.
But they've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for years.
It's just now
it's just out in the open, I guess.
The flame now.
Well, but my sister went to Stanford University in California, right? And Bill Gates scholarship. So, and they're talk about marginalization. I mean, for her, it was because she went to Stanford, on a scholarship, she's already seen there.
It's below.
Wow.
It's you're only here because you got a scholarship. You're only here because you're smart, Black woman. So that's how they stigmatized her and stereotyped her in that context.
Not just the fact that
one gets exposed. Oh, you were paying for school.
Exactly.
Or you're a bribe.
But we have to ask these questions why is it that all these rich kids go to Yale and Harvard? You ever think about why is that?
Legacy.
But people, but we already knew that happened.
Legacy is a lot of the reason,
Yeah, but we knew that was happening already. It's just that I feel like what happened was one white kid's parent was pissed off because they paid $5 million for Steve to get into Yale,
Wow.
and Buddy didn't get in. So now they're like,
someone paid to.
yeah.
That's no, but like it's. When I heard millions, I was like millions.
That's wild.
Oh yeah.
You could just give your kid $1 million.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
I heard one of them was on a
Should've
cruise
just
when they
paid
were
this-
like
Yeah.
investigating.
tuition one time.
So somebody was upset because their child that they paid to get into Yale didn't get in. So they're like, do, and called whoever and said, hey, my child didn't get in. This is what's going on. I'm part of this, college ring. And that's what I feel like happened. But that's why I say that higher education and acts as a corporation. Like, it's not even about your performance or academics anymore. It's just about how much money you have.
I mean, that's a lot
It's a
of
money
things.
game.
It's a lot of things. I mean, no offense to the people who play the sport, like golf.
Mm-hmm.
No offense. I feel like golf is the same thing. You pay to play.
Yeah, pay to play.
That's it.
Yeah, a lot of things. Well, whereas it's like sad in academics because we put all this. That's why I'm just like, I think education is a scam, because also we put a lot of weight behind the quality of education, the opportunities that we're allowed to have access to because of our educational backgrounds, right? And it's still, at the end of the day, y'all just trying to get money, and you're gonna do me in. Like, it's gonna be like, I'm at York University right now, or done with it now, thank God. But I felt like, well, I felt like the year that I was doing my degree, we had that strike, and it was all about money. It was all just a money thing. So I could even draw parallels in like the corruption in the education system in the States and in Canada from my personal experience, right? I can't speak to other institutions, but my experience has been that it models, it's significantly less money, but it acts as a business nonetheless.
Yes.
Like a fun fact, it was
Especially for post-secondary.
it was 2000 when they was striked as well.
They striked again.
In 2009, and then recently, as you
They've
said.
had multiple.
Yeah, it's like
So,
every
ongoing
whatever
thing.
that nobody told me about. So thank you everyone for not telling me that happened.
If I knew, I would have told you, man. I would have been like,
because I came like right when they were about to strike, and I was like, oh, cute. Nobody told me that. So thank you.
No one told you that's strike capital.
Thank you. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
if I had known.
Yeah, like if I knew,
had
I'd have
known
just been like,
you're
no,
going, I
man.
would have said, hey,
No. Go
hey.
somewhere
They're
else.
gonna-
They are cause for prone to. I would have told you the whole list. Oh no.
It was a big surprise because I've never experienced nothing like that before.
Oh,
so I was just like,
for
what
us,
is
it's a constant.
That's interesting. Never
Experience the strike.
Yeah.
yeah, in that
For
in that
schools,
way, in that nothing. I've never gone through anything like that before. That was
They're
crazy.
Probably York is the only school that goes as frequent
Mm-hmm.
as they do.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear about Ryerson or like
U of T
or whatever
They
going on? I think
Right.
U of T probably in the span of 10 years. That's the last time I've heard they got.
But I think it's a business thing at the same time, because if you're, it's like, you remember, universities are all together. So if York is like, we're gonna strike, it's like, well, guys, we're gonna strike too.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
you can't leave that university behind, type of thing. Everybody has to get their money up somehow.
It's
That's
just the framework at York.
yeah.
All right.
Watch.
now in terms of like obstacles. When it comes to careers, like what type of obstacles as a Black woman do you face?
Oh, all of them. Every obstacle that you could ever think about, I faced as a Black woman.
Wow.
Everything.
All
Like
of them.
everything?
Yeah, everything. I mean, I don't know. I guess right now, well, I don't know. Like, I worked at a traditional news media station, and I had a multitude of different roles, and I was one of the only Black women in the station, right? So
That's the
that
you're the
came with.
only
Yeah, when you're, but you have to understand, like, when I say I'm the only, it's like you don't see another person of color for miles.
That's just-
It's not even just like it's just the building; it's miles. It's like
Oh,
so.
man. That's crazy.
So yeah, that comes with its fair share of challenges, and it's the whole thing of like you just have to work twice as hard for the same result, right? It's the end game is still the same, but you have to work twice as hard to get there. And because I'm a Black woman, I feel like those challenges will never end. It'll never be easy for me in advancing my career. Are those excuses? Absolutely not. Because what I had to learn was just how to strategically overcome them as I'm hit with them, and not use them as roadblocks in my career. More so, use them as just more of a reason to do the things that I want to do, less of a reason to stop because they want us to stop. Yeah, so all of them.
I'd say cross-cultural dialogue, and just like understanding other people and other ethnic groups and how they would respond to me. I think that it goes back to what you're saying. Like, you know, you're the only Black person, but then there's some people come and they project their ideas onto you, and it's like, I don't fulfill any of that, so why are you still talking to me like that? Like, you know, that would be a lot of actually the challenges that I face, where you are probably the only person in the room, and then it's your opinion versus the opinion that they already have in their head of what they think you're gonna say. So that I yeah, you know, you just sit there and you're just like, finish your thought. I'd like to hear it, please. And then, you know, you go back and then, you know, you just say, hey, whatever. Other than that, maybe also just dominance between genders. That's another challenge that I would say I face. I already have a very assertive presence. I've been told, a very dominant presence, and a lot of times it's very intimidating for a lot of men. I've been told on many occasions. So that I've noticed, I'm not in the room to fight with anybody, but there's already a fight happening, and I wasn't aware of it. Right. So
you're not even privy to like what the fight was, just because of your energy.
My energy. And that would be another challenge that, you know, as a woman, you're like, okay, this is how I feel, this is what it is. I'm not coming across as being a bitch. But
yeah, and it's always that stigma too. Like, you always have to be that for you to be that assertiveness. But guys are rewarded because they have that bravado that they walk into. Right. I think it's toxic masculinity, and it's sourced in insecurity. And we're the ones that have to listen to it and deal with it. And we're the ones that have to, like, you know, succumb to it and submit to that toxicness that they carry along with them in a lot of different places. Exactly,
and I can understand it on both sides too, right? Where it's like, even the women who will look at you and be like, you're trying to show me up. Be like, I'm not trying to do anything.
Right. Well, that's also like a source of like insecurity and like, you know, lack of just like self-assurance. So where people think that we're all in competition when a lot of the times we're not.
Right. Yeah. So that would be a lot of that. You know, when you're pretty sure, and I think that a lot of Black women get that vibe, that they're very assured of themselves. They're very certain of who they are, what they do, why they do it, what the impact is. I think a lot of people feel very uncomfortable, and
well, they're just gonna have to feel uncomfortable. Like, you're just gonna have to be uncomfortable with it. Yeah. So, until you get used to it, because that's our energy. And it's not to say that we think that we're better, but if you have that kind of self-assurance and self-confidence, of course, those that do not are gonna feel some type of way. Yeah. But is it our job to sit and, like, you know, cater to how your insecurities, or are we just gonna do whatever it is that we have to do? And the thing about it is, it's so interesting because we're conscious of the fact that we're perceived
very self-aware.
More so than anybody else. As Black women, we know that the way that we speak, the way that we carry ourselves might intimidate whoever else. Right? I don't think there's any other person that is aware, so much so that it's like conscious, and we might even change the way that we're talking or whatever, just to appeal to somebody that might take it offensively. Right? So as Black women, we always have to deal with that energy, because it's like, you know, oh, you don't want to come across this way, but blah, 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 blah. And other people are almost rewarded for that, the same energy. But as Black women, it's a problem.
Yeah, I would say that's a big challenge.
Yeah, so challenging.
You know, when I'm out here just saying, hey, I don't agree with your opinion. Right. And then it's a...
Yeah, oh, you don't agree, and and you're this and that, or whatever. Yeah. We have to deal with, like, even if it's not overt, we have to deal with, like, micro, like...
the microaggressions or the passive aggression.
Yeah, passive aggressive. Or, like, oh, Steve thought that you said too much in the meeting.
Or a little too... Yeah.
Like, all right, but...
Be like, are you serious?
Right, like...
I said too much.
Steve. I'm not here for Steve.
Like, did you really have to say all those things?
You would be so shocked how many times I've been told to shush in a meeting that is about diverse issues.
You could talk, but not too much.
What?
You can talk only a little bit.
What?
They're asking, but they're not really asking.
Yeah.
They're asking, but they're like, all right, well.
Hey, we just have to reach a quota of diversity.
We gotta meet our
like they'll invite you in the room, but they don't want you to say too much. But they want you to be there so
Engaged.
so they can say, oh, but you were there. Like it's not like we excluded you. We just didn't want you to talk. And we know that that's going on too. Like we know that that's happening. That's what the biggest problem is that we're aware of this.
That happened. That happened with a presentation that was asked of me. Oh, I would have just been perfectly fine if you just said, hey, we don't like your presentation.
Right.
Scrap it. Do it again. And again, it goes back to cross-cultural stuff. Like, that's a challenge, right? You don't know how other people carry and what they consider is the norm. To me, it's not the norm. If you don't like my stuff, and you're going to sit there, let me do it 10 times, and then at the end of it, be like, you know what? It's not what we're looking for. Bitch. What? Just tell me you don't like it for the first time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay.
The stress.
Like those things. No, man.
Through all these obstacles and situations, what keeps you going? And have you had any doubts?
Oh, wow.
I mean, haven't you seen these smiles? That keeps me going. I take it as a learning experience every time, even if it's annoying, frustrating, drives me nuts, pulls my hair out. I always look at it like, what did I learn from this, and how is this going to help me in future? Because I would, especially if it's something where it's a negative experience, how do I go about it so I don't get myself into this position again? And if it's wasting time, because time is very valuable. Oh, man. If it's wasting my time, I'm going to make sure that I find a way to just finagle so I can't get to that point ever again. That's just what it is. That keeps me motivated. Just being able to say, I've learned, I've come away from it, I survived, or I've lived through it, and then keep moving.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like, I keep in the back of my head that, you know, what I'm going through is all part of the purpose, all part of the process. Like, I'm not doing this for anybody else. And because I'm not doing it for anybody else, I can't allow Steven to stop the progress, right? Like, he's not allowed. and just true. Just always reminding myself of that and just having that in the forefront of my mind. Anytime I actually just embrace challenges now, whether... you know, because they are learning experiences for me, and it just, you know, gives me more of a motivation, because like on the other side of challenge is, you know, triumph. So that's kind of what I carry on, just so that throughout all the adversity as a Black woman, I'm not discouraged so much so that I lose sight of the purpose. Right. Yeah.
Okay. This is a question that's like kind of off the topic, but what's your thoughts on fake it till you make it?
I don't believe in it. No. The only reason why, like, I do, but I don't. I do in a sense that fake your confidence. You know, that Superman pose when they say put your hands and you stand up real tall and you put your chest out there. Fake that. Be like, hey, I'm gonna do it. Your affirmations, look in the mirror and be like, oh, you're the one. You boss, you know? The reason why I say that is because those affirmations will become your reality. So that I would say fake it. But fake it in the sense of like your abilities to actually do tasks and complete things and whatever. Don't do that. Do not. Reason why, you meet so many people who will say yes and can't do shit. Don't do it. Be honest. If you're not able to do it, say you're not able to do it. Don't put your pride in it. Don't put your ego in it. Don't waste nobody's time. Right. Don't. If you can, whatever. If you're in the process of learning, learn it and then build. But just know what you're able to do. that part, don't fake it. But fake your confidence. Fake your affirmations. Fake your security, your all that stuff until it becomes your reality. That stuff. That I believe.
I don't think it's necessary to fake anything.
Yeah.
It's just unnecessary to fake what for what, right? Like, what are we being fake for? I think it's even more respected for you to be your most authentic self in any situation that you're in. I mean, if you're in a situation where you have to be fake, you shouldn't be in that situation. I think I agree with like the affirmations and stuff, but I don't think that stuff should be faked. Though I think that we really have to do the work and try to, develop the self-confidence and the self-assurance. Because for me, it's like, because I'm so empathetic, if the confidence is being fake, I can feel it before you say it, right? So even if you come in with the Superman pose and I know that, there's something else going on within, you don't have to tell me. And people also, whether they're aware of it or not, they'll pick up on that too. So it's like, in 2019, we shouldn't have to fake anything. Like, we should just be able to embrace who we are and just, like, live in our truth.
See, now, one reason why I say this. Trump be believing a whole lot of stuff. So, I don't know.
That voice. But his, like, it's not even fake. Like, he really believes it just because he says it. Like, he really just believes the things that he says. Right. It's not even, like, he could not, but that's his confidence. Like, he could not have read a book. He don't know what is going on in the whole country. And he's like, oh, yeah, that it is what it is. And it's like, what are you talking about? You crazy person. That is not, I don't know. Like, I don't think he's being fake. I really just think he's crazy.
Like he's a mon.
Man, he's just like a sociopath. Like, he's actually insane.
Because remember, I was watching like a Dave Chappelle thing, and he was saying like when he got elected, it was like yo, this guy is actually like,
it's actually happening.
It's actually happening.
Yeah,
it's actually happening. One, and two, even when issues like arise or anything like that, there's ways to go. You're not supposed to like let your nation know like exactly what go on, like what's happening, what critical things were like. He'll say like.
Just
casually when he's not supposed to.
Just fix it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, what did you just say? And it's like, no, like.
Yeah, he's actually insane. Like, but that's what happens when you just let anybody in the White House. The White House is a joke too.
They needed their ratings.
Hey, listen.
Hey.
That's.
Hey.
Here's the thing. Don't get me started on it. Like I wrote the news, right?
Yes.
So I know what I was writing for. I knew the purpose, and the purpose wasn't this bipartisan idea of this is how we're supposed to because we want to talk about the truth. We wrote for ratings. Every meeting that we have, everything that we sat down is like, okay, this story, which one do we think based on the data that we've had from previous episodes will give us the best rating? So anybody that sits there and thinks that the news is actually for us to understand and to and it's bipartisan and there's this idea of just like no, it's not like that. Yeah.
Okay. This is a wild card question, I'll say. It brings up the infamous K.Black.
The infamous.
Basically he's been going through some situations. He's been going through some things with Young M.A.
Okay.
He wrote a bar about Young M.A. saying that because she's a lesbian, he would still want to do stuff with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Young M.A. went on live, upset
this
about
boy
it.
is weird.
Yeah, that's man, weird, man.
He's weird.
And K.Black replies with, on Instagram, people just follow the one person to show that's the person they want.
That's crazy.
Then, and he also said on his live that what's wrong with like women, or what's wrong with like lesbians, why do they want to be penetrated or something like that. He said something like that.
Yeah.
Now my question is, what are like female traits that society say women do that you don't do?
Oh my god, all of them. Oh, okay. Can we go back? Can we have a bigger discussion about that though? Because like I think that's that's an important.
Like that's an important point.
It is. And I think that also like intertwines with the fake it till you make it question on like a broader scale within like the music industry in general. Because it's like, you know, the pressures that Black women in the industry and just women in general in the industry have a lot of like that fake it till you make it that men don't have, right? It's like because you're a marketing tool, you have to look a certain way. You have to present a certain way. You have to keep your body right, and most of it is outward, you know, aesthetically. So these are things that women have to deal with on if they want to be part of the music industry that men generally don't. So going then to the Kodak and Young M.A situation, this is Young M.A. She deviates away from the societal norms that say that you have to present yourself a certain way as a woman, in the music industry for you to be a marketing tool that we'll get behind. Right? So it's like you have the societal pressures, and then you have Young M.A. that's totally just like, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be an open lesbian. I'm going to redefine what femininity is. I'm going to identify more with my masculine whatever, etc. Right? So it's like, that is different. That is something that we're not used to. So then if we have somebody like K.Black, who is like a pretty notable figure in South Florida, like he's like, you know, everybody loves Kodak. For him to like outwardly say these like really gross things to a woman, regardless of how she presents herself, that is like harassment, and that's wrong. I can't get behind Kodak for saying things like that. Like, why you a woman, but why don't you want to? You're like, what is that? Like, how can people even like support something as nasty as K.Black saying that? Just like whether it's Young M.A. or whoever else in the industry that is more feminine presenting, right? Or whatever. How can we get behind something that K.Black says that is just that heinous and not be like just outrage? It's 2019. You can't just go around sexually harassing women on a public platform.
Unless you're the president.
Unless you're the
stop this.
I mean,
I'm dead.
He's a quote unquote, I'm going to say the box grabber, just to clean it up a bit.
Kodak?
No, like the hair.
The president.
Your president.
Oh, the president.
It's like your president.
No, you're born here.
I was born here. I was raised in Florida.
Oh.
So.
Praise God.
I mean, so unless you're Trump, that's what you're saying. Is that grab him by the whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, even that's not right. But what's happening is that like Trump saying that as the president of the United States,
which is why,
then normalizes the fact that K.Black said that about Young M.A. And then it's like a trickle down effect where we're getting just these really nasty things that are being said about.
I brought that up for a reason.
Yeah.
I brought that up for a reason. I know.
So that makes sense. Yeah, it's like if we're normalizing these really disgusting things that men are saying, in whatever industry it's in, it's wrong. But because it's being normalized, then we're turning a blind eye to the fact that Kodak can repeatedly say, like, because that was 2 encounters. K.Black said it.
Said multiple.
He said it. Yeah, he said it, and then Young M.A. responded to it, and he said it again. So it's like, all right. So not only are you disrespectful, and now you're just like outright sexually harassing Young M.A.
Well, they can say that he was trolling.
See, but that's not okay.
I think it just comes down to like the understanding of what's accepted.
Right.
Because it goes back to experience, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in his understanding, it's hard for him to see that even though you're a woman, why aren't you attracted to me? Because that's what it comes down to.
Well, he's
from
gross
what it
for that.
like.
If K.Black feels like women have to be attracted to him, K.Black.
That's a lot of guys though. Their ego, they think that that's what. Again, that goes back to objectifying, but
yeah,
it's also I'm a man, therefore, the traditional thinking, I'm a man, so therefore, you must find me attractive. No, like it's questionable. Why are you questioning life? Like, and that ego and everything like that.
Yeah, the ego,
that confidence.
That's also that's what I'm saying. Insecurity and toxic masculinity. Yeah. So at this point, it's like we have to address these things because Kodak cannot outwardly sexually harass Young M.A. in that way and expect that that's okay. Like Young M.A. even saying something to him like he's weird. Why would you even? I wouldn't be surprised if she felt uncomfortable even. Like, with a man like preying on her in that way. Like that's not cool. We can't just continue to normalize things like that. K.Black or not, K.Black or Kodak Blue. We can't just be out here letting men. We can't be out here letting men. Sexually harass women in that way. That's ridiculous. 2019. What are we doing? That's where I'm at with it.
That's a whole lot of waking up.
Yeah.
To do. Because that's a conversation that a lot of people would have to have. Oh, Kodak.
Necessary conversations, nonetheless. Though, you know what I mean?
He just say some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually kind of shocked that she didn't just actually answer him. Why would I be attracted to you? That's just really. Why do you feel like I would be?
Well,
like, why would I engage with you?
She said like the first one was like, what'd she say? Like,
this guy's weird.
This guy's weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
And
Which like signifies her discomfort with the things that he said.
Like,
She's
why are you guys
uncomfortable.
giving this attention type thing?
Right? Yeah, like she's like, are you good? Like, why do you continue? And she's like, and it's men, like talking about this too. Like, why y'all talking about this so much? Are y'all okay? Like, why are you guys doing that?
Maybe they're hurt, you know.
We gotta teach men to stop doing. That's not okay. If I'm in the club or something and somebody says that to me and I'm just like, you're weird. Like that's, and then he persists, then it's a problem.
You just standing there, my dude, just like, hey,
yeah,
you don't find me cute?
No,
Listen,
you weird.
You mad weird.
You weird. Like, what is that? What are you doing? That's how I would be. Like, what are you doing?
Especially if your face is dead straight, pad serious.
Like, what? You weird.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. But yes,
I'm not gonna normalize that kind of behavior. We have to like address it, but even like social media, right? Like we're not even drawing the line of what's appropriate and what isn't anymore. We're just like,
I mean, it's a very big forum. Like like I had the other day.
Uh-oh.
I know it's a little off topic from Kodak, but you know how I usually do. I just go. I'm the worst on Instagram. I will go in and I will be at the most like conspiracy or like the worst anything. And it was in regards to the topic that we had a few weeks back about guns. And
Jamie said he would have a gun.
I know. We went back and forth about this. Went back and forth. And so there was this gentleman in the States who ended up getting arrested. And they like went into his place. He rented this place out. Went into his place for the suspicion of the odor of weed. Not even that it was no possession. The odor alone.
Yeah,
and it was a
reasonable doubt or a reasonable cause,
right,
for them to search his place. Yeah,
all this stuff, whatever the case is, took him out, etc., etc. And in the comments, there was this gentleman who was like, "Why did you have to act like that?" About the gentleman who was getting arrested. Like he was just basically saying his rights. You know, he's like, "You guys have not told me what I'm getting arrested for. Why are you guys here? What is the suspicion that you guys are like nothing?" And they were not giving him anything either. They put him in cuffs, and he's like, "What are my rights?" Didn't read him his rights. What am I being detained for? Didn't say anything. So
that's weird,
right? So it was like it was ongoing, and the gentleman was just like, "If you just act normal, you wouldn't be having so many issues."
Act normal,
which I thought was. This is a beautiful time to have a conversation with this gentleman. Went in there and I was like, I get where you're coming from. Because to you, your understanding and probably your experiences are that you act normal. You're like, it's okay. We're just going to like talk to you for 2 seconds and then we're going to let you go and no problem. And I was like, that's a cross-cultural issue right there.
Yeah.
The fact that what you're saying, I'm like, I'm not degrading. I'm not saying that, no, you shouldn't feel and say what you're saying. However, the perspective that he is coming from, completely contrary.
Is he a black man?
The guy who made the response on
no, the guy that got arrested.
He's black.
Okay.
But the one who made the comment was a white gentleman.
You can't act normal as a black man. It's already a problem.
Right?
Yeah.
And right off the bat. And it was like, that was what I was addressing.
That doesn't add up
doesn't make
for black
sense.
men in America.
And I listed everything. I was like, it's thing for suspicion. I'm like, if this man is listing all his rights to you and he's asking why I'm being detained and whatever, I'm like, this right now, this whole process is him thinking, am I going to die? And how much life do I have left from being detained to getting into the elevator with these cops? That's the conversation right there. And he was like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. And I was like,
because he never has to. He's a white man. I mean, I lived in Florida most of my life, right? Like, and It doesn't matter. Nobody will be able to understand how I felt. Like, as somebody that's never been arrested, never even, like, I don't do anything. But when a police, like, officer pulls behind me, whether the lights are flashing or not for me to pull over, I'm thinking that I might die that day. Like, that's the reality of the situation. My little brother, he's got locks, long locks. He likes to skateboard, right? Like, he's just a regular old kid now. And I even have to have conversations to him, like, you can't, and all of his friends, because the area that we live is a predominantly white area. It's like, you cannot be out here skateboarding in abandoned banks with your white friends, because what's going to happen is if the police come, you are going to get in trouble. And like, I can't even like, I find in the Canadian context, I know that it's a prevalent issue here as well, but I feel better being here. And like, cops, I see them all the time, and I never feel as I felt as a Black woman in America. Like, the possibility that I might die when I haven't done anything wrong, right? Like, and it doesn't matter. You're a Black woman. You might die. Just because the cop might be having a bad day. You know, there are many cases of this too. And it's like, I went to go see Us, what was it, yesterday.
We gotta see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. But
okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but like, it just going back to my experiences as a Black woman, like, when I sit down in the theater, I have post-traumatic syndrome, where it's like, I have to know where the exits are, because I don't know if there's going to be an active shooter and that's something that I'm just like, paranoid about, right? And like, these are the kinds of things that, I'm coming here and I have to like kind of unlearn these things, but I'm still always on guard, because it's like,
these are some of the pressures that you have to face.
Going to a club, I don't know if it's going to get shut up. Going to the theater, I don't know. Going to a concert, I don't know. I have to think about, well, where is it? Like, am I going to die?
Where are my exits?
Right.
How many security?
The police are going to come. And like, the police will shoot you, just license and registration. You reach for your license or registration and they'll shoot you. They'll kill you. And it's justified because they're police officers. Right? So it's like, that is my experience. So I understand, that white people, or like a lot of people that aren't targeted in these situations, just will not ever have a clue. Like, what's that? Like, act normal. As a Black woman, I can't act normal because I'm a Black woman. Doesn't matter how, respectable I am, whatever, I'm already a target just because I'm a Black woman. Black men, even worse. Right? What is acting normal in that?
Like, I've been telling this guy, like, since, like, growing up, like every time I go to a trip with my mom to, like, PA, which is, like, we go, like, up top, which is, like, Erie.
Oh, Erie.
Erie, right? Even every time I cross the border, it's like a heavier jacket goes on. I'm like, okay, I'm in America now. I can't really move how I want to.
And like, it's like, it's almost built now into our psychology to think this way. It's like, I will die. It's not a question of, if I did anything wrong. And it, like, used to be, the police are behind me, but I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm fine. Now it's like, if there's a police presence at all, I might die. And that's the reality of the situation. Yeah. And like, just living in that environment, especially during the Trump election, that's when I was working in the news station, and when you are one of the only Black families in the neighborhood, like within like a 5-mile radius, you don't see any other Black families. I thought my neighbor was cool, but now it's election time and dude has a Trump sign, you have a Trump sign, dude has a Trump flag on his car. So, like, now whereas it
where
wasn't,
do we stand?
Right, like, now where it wasn't visible before, now I know, okay, I have to be more cautious when I walk the dog at night. I have to really be on alert, because as a Black woman, I'm a target. So acting normal, I wish it was that easy, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, even like in like, I remember, like, back in the days, like, bomb threats, I wouldn't say they were as quote unquote serious in Canada. But, like, I remember, like, back and forth with the States, anytime that someone called me for, like, a fake bomb threat or anything, they cleared out. Like, they don't play with that because of the history of the States, right? Oh,
my God, yeah.
And then recently with Canada now, even with bomb threats now, they don't, it's the same way as the States now, to me. Like, they'll clear out everywhere. There's, like, there was one, just a couple of days ago, there was a suspected package at Broadview, and they shut everything down. People had to take shuffle buses. People had to, like, go around it, like,
Jeez, I feel like I'd be the cause for that a lot of the times. Because I be seeing packages everywhere and getting like
Gotta
real
call.
scared.
Yeah, you gotta call, yeah.
As long as you don't misfire like
Whose bug
Jesse
is that?
Harris,
Whose bug is that sitting there?
Anytime, like in the theater in the States, like if I see, and it's usually a white guy. Like if I'm in the theater for black people, I don't feel. I feel comfortable, and that, I mean, that's just reality. Because I know we're not gonna shoot up the theater. We don't do that. We might be loud.
Statistically, one. If it's a beef thing, they're going after that person. They don't.
They're not gonna enjoy a movie. They're gonna do that outside or whatever, but they're not gonna be in the theater. But the point is that I was with my mom and we were sitting watching some movie and we saw a dude. He had long hair, white guy, came in with a book bag, and we're like, "Yo, why does dude got a book bag?" And every time he would reach in the book bag, we're like, every time, like we couldn't even. It was like, yo.
Couldn't relax, like
yeah, and he's by himself. He sits on the corner and he has a book bag. Nah, high alert. High alert.
I'm gonna sit right beside him still. Bye-bye. So what you trying to do? You watch a movie? You like a movie? You okay? Everything's good?
That's just how it. And then especially like in Florida, they had even at in the South Douglas High School. It's not too far from where I grew up, where the school shooter just like killed off his classmates. So, yeah. It's the reality of the situation.
Is it easy to get guns in Miami? Like Florida? Is it like
really easy. Because
remember, you have to think like there's a lot of illegal ones out there already.
Right, and there's loopholes too. So at pawn shop you can get a gun. At at gun show you can get a gun. A lot of my family members have guns. Actually, yeah.
I'm telling you.
Listen, I'm not on it, okay?
But it's Florida. It's Florida, right? You got the stand your ground situation that doesn't apply to black women, but whatever.
It really doesn't. Like
no, like there was a case where there was a woman who fired off a warning shot into the air because her boyfriend was trying to attack her. She got arrested and put in jail for years. What? And that stand your ground didn't work for her in that situation.
She's better off shooting him actually. Yeah, technically.
Because it didn't.
You can't fire a warning. It's. We'll probably put a post on it later, but it's something to do with We'll get to that. Yeah, it's a long thing. Like
the situation is like even these laws that are supposed to protect you in these situations when you want to protect yourself, as black women don't apply to us.
Now, despite having a grim 10 minutes,
it's not grim.
Yo,
it's necessary. This is Queens at the table. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Now, okay, I just want one random question. Yeah. Okay, Queens at the table. If there was, I don't know if this is probably like a loophole, like it's out of the questions. So it's just a random question. If there was any drink that you would have at the table,
a drink
like Hennessy, champagne, a certain type of wine, what would it be for you guys? What would be on your table? Like what type
I hate to do this, but I'm allergic to alcohol. I don't drink. Ooh. So
good on you.
No, I'm allergic. Like it's not even a choice. I would die.
You're not missing out.
Don't worry. It's gross.
All right.
But what juice?
What juice? Yeah, I was
like, maybe like maybe a. I don't know. I don't want to sound cheesy. Like that's corny. If I don't drink on the table, water.
That's fine. Refreshing.
So not even like an almond milk,
man.
Or like a Fiji water.
Yes. Fiji. Maybe a Fiji.
Yeah, one
like
Fiji now.
Fiji.
Come on. Yeah, we're not top on the top. No, we're top on Queen expensive Fiji shipping water. You know what I mean?
Yo, man, that's true. What would I go for? El Dorado, 12 years or 15 years with some Coke.
Look at that. Okay.
What?
Yeah, yo. That's how I sit. Ha ha. Weren't expecting that now, were you?
No, not at all. I'll keep my mouth closed. I'm gonna pick me up on the mic.
Now, what are your plans for the near future? So nothing like crazy, like 10 years or 15. But
near
future.
Near future. Yeah. My plans as far as what? It's like life?
Just life in general, yeah.
I don't know. Just continue to build, network, find more of a balance in my life, not work so much, but also take out a lot of time to develop myself mentally and physically. things like that. I mean, I already do that, but in the
Just
near
like-
future,
Like consistently.
yeah, just continue to build and grow. Because this is only my first year in Toronto, or going on my. Well, this is the start of my second year, so
Nice.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Near future, bang out all these projects, man. Jeez, these things are stressing me. Oh Lord. But yeah, same thing. Just to build and continue building, especially like mentally, emotionally, yes, but spiritually. I've never really engaged in that area, that realm, to sit down and be like, energy and flow and good vibes and all that, just the mantras, how you say these. I never sat down and really took that in, and now I'm like, this is some very important stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
You're trying to find out who Black Jesus Christ is.
woo! I mean, I think he was here to just saying.
Your face.
You know what I mean? See Jay's face right now.
You don't even see my face. Yo, go on.
Anything you want to say to the future women out there?
Future women.
Not time travelers, just an actual
Just
like
women in general.
just
Yeah, just
like-
the women out there.
Yeah,
I guess.
just women
just
out
women.
there.
Yeah,
in
message to
general.
women.
Black
Yeah.
women.
Self-love.
Yeah, it's important.
Lots and lots of self-love. Don't give yourself up too much, because I think by the gender roles, women give a lot of themselves, and they don't realize how much that sometimes it's not possible. You can't be the homemaker, the baker, the 10,000 other jobs at home, and work, and still the like whatever wife or girlfriend or support system. And like sometimes you have to be like, this is what I can do right now, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't think that you have to conquer everything today. That's okay. Like, today it may just be that we're gonna only deal with this part, and that's all. That's fine. And it's okay to say I'm not available either.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard. When you're young and you learn, like, that's what you have to be. You have to be, like, tending to everybody, cater to everyone, be on everyone's thing. And then when you learn, like, as you get older, you're like, no, man, and who's catering me at this point? Like,
Facts. Yeah.
your girlfriends are all stressed out. You can't do it. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Self care.
yeah, all that self-love, that self-care, that whatever, it's okay. That's okay. You don't have to feel guilty, ashamed. It's all right to be selfish. All these things that, that you're told you should not,
Mm-hmm.
unlearn.
Facts.
Start to unlearn these things, and then go back and be like, who am I really? That would be my thing for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I would piggyback off of that and say, like, it's important to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Invest in your self-confidence, invest in your self-care, invest in your growth mindset in general. The Queen Series podcast is the #1 podcast for women's empowerment in Toronto. And I really feel strongly about helping and encouraging Black women and women of color. So if you aren't already, follow us at the Queen Series podcast. And follow my personal page at Elena
See,
Christine.
if we should have it somewhere here.
Yeah,
floating,
put
like,
that. Throw that.
Is
throw
there
that
a way
up.
to, put that here?
I'ma try
We're
to.
just having flashing lights.
Throw
I'm
that
gonna try
up.
my.
Throw
I'm
that
gonna try to take.
Yes,
I the plug-in came in so smoothly. I know it's ass at the end.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like,
So yeah, so that's what it is, and I would just say that queens run the world. This is the queen's table, and I don't know if we're rapping or not, but I do want to say that it's really important for us to kind of harness our queendom. I'm all about that queen energy, and I would just encourage all women to keep growing and to keep just going in whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to accomplish in life. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to take risks in this life. That's what I would say.
Miss Frizzle said it best. I don't remember what she said, but she said it best from Magic School Bus. What is it?
Get
No,
messy
she was
and-
come on, bus, do your stuff.
She was a boss.
Get messy and make mistakes.
Yes.
Don't get too messy though. But
Get messy
Yeah,
and
get
make
messy,
mistakes.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah,
can't be like Marshall to the
She was a boss, though.
she was a boss.
She was.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. I guess we are wrapping it.
Oh, that was a wrap.
Yeah, that was a wrap.
I felt it.
Honestly, I didn't even know how to like close it after that.
I felt that.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to close it.
You gotta close it. You gotta be like, welcome to or thanks to our sponsors at Squarespace. No, I'm joking. Like,
Sponsor.
Right.
No sponsors, not yet.
Right,
But,
all the sponsors. If you want to be sponsored,
There you go.
get your plug here.
Honestly, that's good white space
Have
for
it right
sponsorship.
here, right?
And actually, yeah.
You need to get your stuff here. Let us know.
That's good sponsorship space.
we're gonna try that. All right, man. First off, thank you guys for listening. Hey,
don't forget to find us on the following.
There you go.
On Instagram.
Oh, right. Instagram.com/theventpod.
Twitter.
The Vent Pod as well.
Facebook.
The Vent Podcast. See, this is what happens. The
Send us an email at
sometimes-
asktheventpod.
She's got it.
Yeah, askthevent@gmail.com. You see, this is Queen one to you should do it. I'm passing.
Right,
See,
like,
sometimes the man has to be the head of the household. That's what they say sometimes. But sometimes the woman at the neck, they're the support. You know what I mean?
Right.
Support, like, because I did not know where I was going. Like, I did not know where I was going.
The
with
neck of the household.
Yeah, that holds everything together. Because we. No one can see what I'm saying.
Okay.
But thank you guys for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Elaine, it's your first time here, and
man.
you hold it down.
Yeah, man.
Queens always hold it down. You know what I mean?
Always.
It's nerdy. Same thing. I had to give you the spotlight to the shine. You guys are doing your thing. And thank you guys for coming. This is the Vent, and we're out. Peace.